Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 51 female, and my husband Bill, 55 male, have 3 kids, 27 male, 25 female, 22 male. Our oldest, Rob, is married to Christina, 26 female. I have always tried to build a bridge with her. She can be standoffish, but I try to give her space and never intrude on their lives. I usually talk to my son about twice a week, and he always calls me, so it is at their convenience. Her boundary. Background. My mother-in-law owned a vacation property that she allowed us and my brother-in-law to use freely. My daughter-in-law and son met 9 years ago in college, and that summer we invited her up for the week with the family. The house has 5 bedrooms and a converted attic with additional bunks. We didn't take issue with son and daughter-in-law sharing a room on that trip. Our next trip to the house was the next summer, and this time my mother-in-law came with us. We told our son that Christina would have to either share a room with my daughter or use the bunks in the attic this time, out of respect for his grandmother, who would not be comfortable. I guess he did not make this clear to her, and when they got there, she was upset. He talked to her privately, and then she stomped up the stairs to the attic space. She never came with us again, although was always invited. Her boundary. First issue and the boundaries. Since my mother-in-law passed 2 years ago, we inherited the house along with Bill's brother. My daughter-in-law has asked to use the house a lot. We keep a family calendar to mark off what dates we want to use it. My brother-in-law and husband take the requests and run it by the other sibling. Daughter-in-law started asking for multiple weekends a month, and my husband became uncomfortable asking his brother, so I suggested limiting them to once every other month, our boundary, and she was not happy, and said we were denying our granddaughter the experience our kids had. Second issue with boundaries. Rob and Christina had a baby, female, 6 months ago. We were not welcome at their house for the first month, her boundary, and we respected this. We are also not allowed to stay over at their house, her boundary, and they live over 2 hours away and have no convenient local hotel. We have never said anything about this and assume it is in retaliation for making them sleep in separate rooms years ago. Last week she called, shocking, and asked us to babysit in May. They have a family wedding, so her usual babysitters will be at the wedding. At first I agreed, until she informed me that the wedding is an hour away, and they expect to arrive home between 12 and 1 a.m., so we would get home no later than 3 a.m. I informed her that we are not comfortable driving home that late, and that we would either have to stay or she would need another babysitter. She was very upset and said that we are not respecting her boundaries. I might be the a-hole because of my response. I told her that she isn't the only one in the world with boundaries, and she is going to need to start respecting ours as well. OP is clearly not the a-hole, and her daughter-in-law seems fairly petty and vindictive. I mean no disrespect, because maybe she is not, and she has perfectly good reasons for her little boundaries and rules. But it's hard not to feel this way given her expectation that if OP watches her granddaughter at their house, that she must leave to go home at upwards of 1 a.m., and possibly later because they may lose track of time amidst the celebration. It happens. The entitlement of some people is truly baffling. My fiancé, 30 female, and I, 23 female, have been together for a little over 5 years. We moved states back in December when her grandmother, that she has been taking care of for the past 4 years, passed away. She lived with her little brother, 25 male. He dropped out of high school in 10th grade, had one job that he had for maybe a couple months, and was never taught any domestic skills like cooking, cleaning, laundry, etc. His grandmother believed that men shouldn't have to learn those things. Since he had nowhere else to go, he ended up coming with us when we moved. We are currently staying in mother-in-law's house. Brother-in-law is trying to get a job, and he has put in applications at a lot of places. Now, initially I had no problem with him. We were friends for a while in high school. Living with him now hasn't been the best. Us 3 share a room, bathroom, tiny kitchen, and a part of mother-in-law's house. He's always putting the expectation of cleaning and cooking on me. as my fiancé works all day. I work too, just not as long, as he just sits on his computer playing loudly with his online friends all day. If I don't cook something, he'll spend the rest of the night complaining, "I'm starving," even though there's plenty of food in the cupboards, fridge, to make. He just has to do it. Whenever laundry needs to get done, he'll complain about none of his clothes are clean, and he'll just mix his dirty laundry with ours, giving me more work to do. Dishes aren't done, he'll complain. You get the picture. While me and my fiancé were discussing apartments, houses to move into, to get the duck out of her mom's house, we were talking about potentially finding a place with an extra room so we can have a kid in the near future. He was apparently eavesdropping and asked where would I sleep if you guys did that, and that there'd be no room for the kid. He apparently assumes he is moving with us. I said, "You can sleep on the couch then," and that made him angry. "That kid can sleep on the couch," in which an argument ensued, where I got angry and said, "I will not let my kid grow up on a damn couch." Then said, "You're not staying with us forever. You'll be fully expected to get a job, find your own place, whether by yourself or with friends, and live your own damn life. I want to be able to get married, have a family, and live a life without a grown man expecting me to do everything for him." He said what I said was uncalled for, and that if I hate him so much, he'll just leave, called me a bee, and ran off to his mother. My fiancée says she agrees with the message, but that I should not have said it during an argument. I said he shouldn't have made it an argument to begin with, but he made it one, and needed to be told what is what. His mother now berates me whenever I see her about hurting her son, and that I should apologize and tell him I didn't mean it. But I did mean it, 100%. Am I the a-hole? OP is just screwing herself over here. She keeps leaving the door open for her future brother-in-law to live with them, but it needs to be a hard no when he keeps disrespecting OP. OP needs to stop doing his laundry. If he mixes his laundry in with hers, she needs to take it out. OP needs to stop letting him treat her like a maid. Stop cooking for him, cleaning after him, and doing his laundry. If you don't respect yourself, why would anyone else respect you? And part of self-respect is not letting other people walk all over you. Not an a-hole. Update. I am setting a hard boundary and am not going to let him come at all. My fiancé understands my decision, but just insists we keep talking when everyone is calmer. I have 3 kids, ranging from 15 to 8, and I have been happily no contact with my mother-in-law for 16 years. When I met mother-in-law, she absolutely hated me. She had been cool with past girlfriends. Everyone swore she was so nice and laid back when I wasn't around. But she despised me. She did everything she could to exclude me, and she was always taking digs. I am not the type to take that laying down, and it turned nasty. I know I said things I am not proud of. My husband tried to stick up for me. He tried to set boundaries, but mother-in-law would rather be right than happy. He tried putting her in timeout. Mother-in-law is competitive as duck, and when her timeout was over, she wouldn't answer her phone. At the time, I was too pushy for him to choose me. It was literally ripping my husband's soul out. We went on a short trip with her and ended with me screaming at her. My husband feeling so defeated, he broke down in tears. And mother-in-law actually had a panic attack and ended up with hives. Not the first time she had a physical reaction, because being around me upset her so much. It just occurred to me that we can't go on like that. The 3 of us had a long conversation about what we wanted. Mother-in-law wanted to be able to see her son without seeing me. I wanted to not put up with her crap anymore. And my husband didn't want to lose either of us. During the talk, I learned that mother-in-law was totally indifferent to having grandchildren. So I proposed a deal. Mother-in-law and dear husband could have whatever relationship they wanted outside of me. She could have her family dinners and her family pictures without having to freak out about me not being family. But she would never meet our kids. Mother-in-law was chomping at the bit. She loved it. The next year was one of the most peaceful of my life. My husband was finally happy. Mother-in-law was no longer a basket case getting physically ill over the stress. And I had my first child. Mother-in-law never once broke our agreement. She has never asked to meet them. I'm not even sure she knows their names. My husband has lunch with her about once a week and goes to family dinners or cookouts at her house a couple times a month. He even spends Christmas Eve with her. Recently, my two eldest children have expressed interest in meeting her. Honestly, I worry that it is because she has money and does a lot of cool stuff. Dear husband doesn't go on family vacations without us, but my oldest found her aunt on social media and knows how much they travel and that mother-in-law has multiple vacation houses. We are comfortably middle class and all the money comes from her husband, who is sister-in-law's dad, but not dear husband's. Still, we are talking it over and deciding if they should meet her. However, both kids have told me I was selfish for striking that deal, and they feel like I used them as bargaining chips. I don't have any family on my side, and they are really mad that they missed out. Now, I don't think mother-in-law is a good person, but her life does look pretty great on social media. My kids seem really mad at me, so now I am questioning everything. Edit. I will admit I'm a pushy person. I went in expecting to be family from the get-go. Mother-in-law, who cannot process social nuance, freaked the duck out about I'm not her daughter and get away from her. She doesn't do talking well, so she just had panic attacks until her husband freaked and didn't want me anywhere near her. We would get into verbal sparring matches, which sucked for me because she is super witty and writes for a living. I'd end up crying, and then dear husband would get mad at her, and mother-in-law would get pissed because I was an equal participant. Everything about her just annoys me. The voice, the way she clings to her husband, the way she shuts down emotionally. Apparently, I talked too loud and it made her cry, which I would never know because she doesn't cry in front of people. Apparently, she thinks I'm entitled and wanted her money. She is a very odd person, and if she doesn't feel comfortable, she totally retreats inside herself. She said nasty things about my weight. I said something horrible about her parents should have euthanized her when this crap started when she was like 3. I know I am a nice person, and I have been told that she is lovely and funny and charming. We brought out something super dark in each other. My personality really triggers her. Apparently, I'm too loud and pushy. I demanded respect, such as being included in her family pictures, and she would freak out that I'm not her daughter and to get the duck away from her. Her entire family hated me and told me she was right. On the other hand, she has some serious and deep-rooted issues. As a child, she was selectively mute to the point she had to be homeschooled for 2 years. She will not talk about her feelings, and she frequently has physical reactions to being upset. She has a very easy life and doesn't have any coping skills. I think she may be autistic. She is one of the smartest people I've ever met, but cannot understand social nuances. So she was told she had to accept me, and I was family, and she had a total breakdown about, no, I'm not family, I'm not her kid. She was always freaking out about how she would never see her son again without me, and she can't relax with me near her. Then her husband and daughter wouldn't help and told her to just disown us. I demand respect is usually code for I am a nightmare to be around. So, yes, I think OP is an a-hole. I understand why OP's in-laws will not go to OP's house to spend time with her. They are all comfortable with this arrangement, where OP's husband pretends to be single. Frankly, it sounds like OP is a pushy, awful aggressor who expected to immediately be loved as a daughter. And when that bond wasn't formed immediately, she went off the deep end of absolutely insane behavior. Honestly, I think OP should let her kids see her grandmother, and then let them decide if they want to keep having contact with her. I'm guessing she's not as terrible as OP is making her out to be, but maybe OP is afraid of them discovering that. My husband and I, both late 20s, got married in a small ceremony 2 weeks ago with 20 people. My husband and I have been on the honeymoon phase since we started dating. We've been together for 8 years now as a couple, and never once did we feel like we're getting sick of each other or tolerating each other. We have established a pretty healthy relationship and communication and the necessary boundaries, and we're happier than ever in our choices in life. My husband's brother, my brother-in-law, is in his early 30s, a couple of years older than my husband. He's been in a relationship with his girlfriend for around 5 years. At first, they seemed to get along, but lately they've proved that they're both toxic for each other. We've talked to both of them and advised them, but they don't listen, so at this point we stay out of it. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend barely give any attention to each other and zero affection. You show more affection to a stranger on the street than they show each other. Due to this, my brother-in-law always makes bitter comments about how soon enough my husband and I will get tired of each other too, and good things come to an end, and how we'll just end up coexisting. My husband has told him off multiple times, calling him insecure and telling him to mind his business. Yesterday, my brother-in-law came over to my house to pick up some stuff while my husband was out grocery shopping and I was alone in my house. I was in a good mood because my husband and I planned a movie dinner date night, and my brother-in-law picked on this and started mocking us in a malicious way, saying that he can't wait till we finally get sick of each other. I found his comment pretty rude and insulting and told him that it's not mine and my husband's fault that he's in a loveless relationship and settled for someone he doesn't care about and doesn't care about him, and he's jealous and bitter over what me and my husband have. I told him to stop projecting his own love life issues onto others. He told me there's no need to be a bee about it and grabbed the stuff and left. A bit later, my mother-in-law called me and said I acted poorly towards my brother-in-law and how I shouldn't insult him because he simply shared his opinion. My husband says I'm not the a-hole and brother-in-law deserved it, but my in-laws implied that I am. So, am I the a-hole? Not an a-hole. He shared an opinion too many times and OP didn't want to hear it while he was at her house. Why is mother-in-law in the middle of it anyway? Triangulation never helps things. OP should tell her to stay out of stuff that isn't her business as well.